Can we talk about Black Mirror? Yaya, I hope I'm saying your name right. I don't know who the fuck you think you are, but what I need from you is your mama address so I can send her motherfucking flowers because you is one good looking man. Anthony Mackie, my New Orleans brother. I don't know who the fuck you think you are either, but I would like your mother's phone number and her address. I would like to send her begonias as well. Nicole, need your mama address. Everybody looked good. Like, I just want to stand the beauty. Like, I think I really want to focus on Danny. First of all, I felt like, one, where are we? I kept reading posts that said that the show was shot in Brazil. I don't know anything about Brazil. I've never been out of the country, but I knew that we were not in America. It just didn't feel like a skyline that was familiar to me. And also, when are we? When does this take place? What year is it? Are we so far in the future? Because I don't think that we are. I felt like I was a transplant that was in a foreign space, that was in a foreign time. And the film did not dedicate any energy towards explaining the setting to me. And I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. I'm not saying that that's a good thing. I'm saying that it made me feel uncomfortable. And getting back to Danny, I think that's a reflection of how he feels. If one thing that I kept walking away from in the film was like, what does Danny want? And we never really know that. I think with him, we know, and because at this point everybody know what it's about. We know that he has this marital affair with his friend Carl via this virtual reality Striking Vipers game, and we know that he's unfulfilled in his marriage. But even prior to being married and being in the boring routine of married life, he still seems to be searching for something. Right after we get this passionate lovemaking scene between Danny and Theo, we get him like still awake, and it doesn't seem like it's the next morning. It seems like this is after their lovemaking. And I'm not saying that after every time if you have sex, if you're not completely wiped out after the end of it, then the sex was trash. I'm not saying that, but it's like, why you not asleep? What has kept you up? Is the act not finished for you? What happened? It seems like you were not satisfied. We also see him kind of move around the house kind of awkwardly, but then he goes outside and he's staring off into the distance. And the reason why I say that he has never been fulfilled anytime in the show, before his marriage and after his marriages, we often get scenes of him or shots of him just staring out into whatever scenery is near him. But I get the feeling that he's staring out into nothingness, and it's unsettling. And so but I don't know what he wants, or why he wants it, or why he doesn't feel comfortable. So I think like being a transplant in a foreign space, in a foreign time, like makes you deal with feeling comfortable in your own body. Danny is a man that in his own body, he has these multiple identities. And I think that was just a theme that's kind of moving throughout the entire show, is how do you cope with multiple identities when some of those identities contradict each other or don't play nicely with each other. Dealing with trying to balance these identities can be taxing on the mind and on the spirit. So I feel like all of that is happening with Danny. I appreciate how the show did not give any energy to homophobia. When we think about men and homosexuality, especially black men and homosexuality, I at least, in terms of how they are represented, I expect them to meet it with verbal, physical aggression. I really appreciate some of the shows that I've been watching. That's just not the case. I know with Dear White People, Lionel, a gay character, he's a roommate to Troy Fairbanks, who's kind of like the Abercrombie and Fitch black token model. Lionel's sexuality isn't a hurdle that the two have to get over. It's just matter of fact. It's just a part of his identity that Troy accepts. And I really like that, but at the same time, I feel like, is it fair to not show how difficult it can be identifying as gay? I'm not a gay black man, and I certainly don't identify as straight, though. I lean towards the queer side. So I would feel a way if someone were to film my experience and nothing was said about how people treat me as someone who is not straight. I would feel a way about it. If someone were filming my experience as a black woman and they did not mention any of the hostilities that I face as a black woman. So I just, what I'm saying, I mean, maybe everybody was all right with it. Maybe we're moving more towards people being more accepting and just people being more loving. I don't like that, the idea of like, you have to accept me, because really I don't give a fuck if you accept me. But even though the film doesn't dedicate a lot of time to nasty homophobia, I think that there are some moments that are bred out of homophobia. The first time they have their virtual reality experience, Carl kisses Danny, and Danny immediately like leaves the game. And the next night, they enter that virtual reality space again, and the first thing that Danny says is like, hey man, I was drunk last night. And Carl's like, me too, yeah, and me too. Like, y'all niggas wasn't drunk. Like, shut the fuck up. So because I think people are taught to deny any homosexual act, any type of homoeroticism, because we're taught to deny that, when we do engage in it, we have to make an excuse for it. Like, oh, that wasn't really me. I didn't really want to do that. When in fact, you did, but you can't cop to it because of your training. Another example of that would be the joke that Carl makes after they have sex for the first time as these kind of live avatar folks. And Carl says, so that's us gay now. It's like, that was a joke. It's like, was it a joke? Like, are y'all gay? Why do you even have to meet this experience with a joke? I think it's, again, because you're taught to deny any type of homoerotic feeling or any homosexual act, and you got to cover it up with humor because you don't know how to face this new aspect of your life. You don't know how to deal with it. So you need humor in that way. And the way that Danny reacts to that is like, it don't feel like a gay thing. The question is like, what's gay? What is a gay feeling? What is the gay thing? How do you know when you have moved over into gay land? Like, what is that? And it's gay to me. You are two men being intimate with each other. So you talking about it don't feel like a gay thing. Like, honey, how would you know what a gay thing feels like? And what do you like it? Julesy brought up a great point. Julesy, smart brown girl, owner, and YouTube extraordinaire. In her review of the show, she was saying that she felt like Theo kind of got the short end of the stick because the way that Danny and Theo have kind of compromised is, I don't know. Was it once a year on Danny's birthday, or was it like once a month? I don't know, but I know that on his birthday, Danny gets to be in that virtual reality land with Carl, and Theo goes out on the town without her wedding ring and she pick up niggas. Julesy was saying, you know, the physical consequences of that is just kind of fucked up because there are things that happen, like you got to deal with STDs, possible pregnancies, and just the, you know, the well-being of your physical form that could possibly be negatively impacted because you are engaging in real live sex. She was saying like it would have been dope if she would also like interact with other people via the VR system. And I agree with that. I just think that there's more that she has to deal with if she is to, you know, deal with people on a real physical level. And I know that that term real is complicated in because of this show. But y'all know what I mean. But another reason why I think that she got the short end of the stick is because Danny is experiencing like this love affair with someone, with one of his best friends. Theo is about to go out and meet strangers, so she's not necessarily going to have someone who meets her needs because they don't know her. So I'm like, dang, like, and I know that you know, it can be fun to just interact with a stranger and that, you know, in some ways it could be a little bit more beneficial, but I'm just saying, like, I feel like it's just different. I want to know how Theo is dealing with all of this because you cannot tell me that going out once a year or however many times you go out and shop around for, you know, dingling, that you feel sexually, emotionally, spiritually fulfilled. I just don't buy it. I just don't buy it. And I wonder how Danny feels about her hooking up with other men. It just seems like, do you even care? Is that so? I don't want him to be jealous, but I wonder how you are you ever concerned about my safety in that regard? Are you ever concerned about my am I being cared for emotionally in that regard? I want to know how Danny feel about it. And I want to see like the interaction between Theo and Carl. Cause I feel like if I was Theo, I mean, Carl would just have to know that it's just on site. Like you said, I invited you to my man's birthday party, and you knew that you were carrying on a love affair with him, nigga. You getting a elbow to the dome.